Where's your guitar?
I set it aside.
Set it aside. All right. We can't be doing that every week. So
I can't compete. It's whoever's playing that is, they're at the top of their game. I can't compete. So I
all
like
right.
to see what I'm good at, Tom.
Well, then let's just stick to modern selling. What do you think?
Okay, I can do
Yeah.
that.
All
That is
right.
my lane.
That is your. Hey, so welcome back, everyone. Episode number 139, Mastering Modern Selling. You just have Carson and myself today. Brandon, it is Brandon's birthday today. And he is celebrating with the family. So we're letting him off the hook for today. But that doesn't mean we're not going to have a kick-ass show. We are going to talk, and aloha to Bob. I hope Bob doesn't just leave right away as soon as we
Yeah,
tell
we're
him.
going to talk about Bob's favorite topic today.
That's right. Bob's favorite topic is mastering modern selling in the AI world. And actually, I think this is. I'm really looking forward to this, Carson, because I think this is going to be a practical. So I hope a practical sort of hands-on episode. You've been, and correct me if I'm wrong, you've been teaching and working with different sales teams within Microsoft on how to apply AI at different points in the sales cycle.
Yeah.
All the way through.
Yeah, it's interesting. I actually had a conversation recently where, our larger commercial business is looking at automating some of the things that I've been doing for years and leveraging AI agents to do some of the things that I've been doing for years so that we can globalize my process, which I don't know, it makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. But yeah, I mean, I think where we're looking to continue to learn and where we are already learning is, how can I master leveraging AI at every step of the process, whether it's prospecting, whether it's a customer ghosted me, what do I say? How do I get a response? But keeping the human element at the heart.
Well, we're going to walk through, I think, step by step, kind of the phases of the sales cycle and what you're doing. First of all, we want to thank Fist Bump again for all of their hard work on the production of this. So if you have not checked out Fist Bump, getfistbumps.com. And again, thanks for their sponsorship on this. And, we don't have a guest today, but I was just talking to Ala, who's the producer. She said we have like guests lined up for like the next, I don't know, like almost all summer. So we've got some really good guests coming along, but let's kind of jump in and start with, and Carson, what would you consider when you talk to the sales teams and your sales teams? What are sort of the phases that you talk about, or the categories that you talk about in the sales cycle and then we can kind of do a deeper dive into each of those sort of phases. Yeah. But what is the life cycle? What are the phases? What are the things that then we can, dig deeper into?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I think that's a great question. As you know, and as our audience knows, if you've seen the show before, I think about sales as a student, and it's really a Moneyball data-driven strategy. And so when I think about every step of the process from a sales perspective, I think about how do we optimize the probability of success at each stage. So I always think about personally as a team leader, as a leader of the business, as a coach globally for sellers and sales leaders, I think about where do we get stuck? Where do we get stuck at each step of the process? Like, we have a lot of people that dislike prospecting. I'm one of those sick people. I love prospecting. But where do we get told no? What are the reasons that we're being told no by customers? How do we flip that on its head to improve our messaging and our outreach and those things that we can control? I also do a lot, as you know, focused on like the quantity of outreaches and, reaching out to the right number of people. Now, what AI can help us with is that perfect quality message, but then also thinking about what prompts are we using to get that perfect message that we can craft and get out there. Then, I think about
prospecting is kind of phase one, you would say, or the first?
Sort of, but like, you also you got to be able to blueprint and roadmap out your book of business. I mean, if I'm starting my year, I'm looking at where's my addressable market. What's amazing is right now I'm in my fourth quarter. So I'm using it to analyze my year and slice and dice as I do appraisals and I do year end planning. But what's great, whether you have a lot of dashboards or you have no dashboards, any quantifiable, tangible metrics that you can feed into the engine, I mean, it can help point you to things that you can be looking for. I mean, what it's shown me is that my team and I have produced a lot of pipeline in certain areas, but then there's other areas where we're deficient, and it can give me ideas on ways that we can go out and create net new conversations, create net new relationships, execute plays at scale to, in essence, land the types of conversations that are going to grow that particular metric. So, you think about it from planning your business, planning your year, if it's the beginning of your year. You can think about it from a prospecting perspective to go out and create new conversations and relationships with the right executives. You can create dialogue at scale, and you can also do things very, very focused. I've had it help me write messages to people based on very specific titles, using their LinkedIn profile, using customer web addresses. It's helped arm me. I was on the plane on a plane. I've been flying the last 3 weeks. I was in Chicago, Seattle, Atlanta, and I'm going to see customers. And I'm having the AI tell me in seconds flat, based on this web address or based on this company name, do some deep research on everything that I should know going into a meeting with this CEO, this CFO. So going into the prep, going into the needs analysis, and I will go one step further to say, in real time, while I'm talking to customer executives, I will literally task AI with saying, based on these things that this customer is telling me, give me some talking points of very unique, differentiating value adds that I can bring to this conversation. And what's beautiful, Tom, is by myself, off the cuff, I could probably think of 3 to 5 of those things by myself. But it might think of things 6 through 10, and it might be number 7 that starts to get that executive really head nodding. So it makes me better. It augments me as a seller and as a sales leader because it thinks of things that maybe I wouldn't have thought of myself. And then finally, if you're getting stuck in areas of the sales process or you need to get a customer to respond where you're being ghosted, or I make a lot of my own homegrown newsletters, I make a lot of my own homegrown webinars. Being able to create these webinars or newsletters used to take me an hour. Now I do it in 5 minutes. More time that I can spend in front of customers. It flat out makes me more effective. I'm a 46-year-old salesman, and I'm trying to stay ahead of the curve on this stuff because the better we can become invaluable right now, we can last forever. Because the tasks that we've done before, SDR tasks, early stage pipeline building, these things will be replaced by AI agents inside of a year or two. We've got to make sure we are invaluable. And the differentiator that we bring is the human element. We've got to arm our human element with as much intel and data as humanly possible.
So let's back up and talk a bit about the planning part that you were talking about. So are you pulling data from your CRM or call recordings or where? And let's see if we can get, because a lot of people are probably going, that sounds great, but how do I do it?
Yeah.
Right. Where do I get the data? And then what tools are you using to analyze that data just to kind of, come up with that planning or that blueprint?
Internal facing. And again, I think everybody knows I work for Microsoft. So this isn't an endorsement. I do use Microsoft Copilot for the internal stuff, and for any external facing stuff or whatever touches the outside world, I'm using ChatGPT, and I've got 4.0 that I'm leveraging today. And I will do deep research on customers. I will pump my own dashboards and Excel sheets or the export of a Power BI dashboard that I may have internally, and I will pump that into my Copilot, and I will say, draw conclusions based on, where I am most deficient around driving pipeline. Or, we have goals to be at 200 to 400% of qualified pipe across different solution areas. So a lot of times, Tom, what I will do is, write me a more robust plan of what I need to do to land more XYZ product or solution. And what it does is it helps you shore up the process. Because here, numbers are not an absolute. They're not who you are. They are a barometer of how successful your
They're the
process was.
measurement, right? They're a measurement of what you're
Right.
doing. That's
What your execution was. So that will point to me, hey, how effective was my execution of driving this widget this year? And if I hit 70% of that number, it wasn't effective. So I need a better platform. What I need to think about, Tom, then, and it bleeds into the next segment. I need to up level my conversation instead of being stuck at the IT director and the procurement lead, which great relationships, we need them. But do I need to up level to the CFO? Do I need to be talking to the chief strategy officer? Do I need to be talking to the board? And then once I realize that, I need to go out and I need to figure out from LinkedIn, okay, who are these people? How do I get their attention? And so that's where I'm leveraging things like ChatGPT as well to help me figure out what is going to land me the meeting with these people. And I'm literally tasking it with prompts like, write me an email that will have the maximum open rate for a subject line. They'll give me a subject line that has the maximum open rate. Write me a message body that will have the maximum response rate. Keep it to 2 to 3 sentences. Give me 3 bullet points that are very specifically aligned to the customer's mission based on this web address and based on the name of my organization. And I mean, as you know, in seconds flat, it will pump that out. But the more specific we get with the prompts, and the more I think about it from a probability lens, I had a very seasoned seller, reach out to me earlier today based on an email that I took that she and her team had put together. And I ran it through these engines, massaged it, put my personal touch on it because AI is not the final editor, ladies and gentlemen. But I put my personal touch on it, shortened it, buttoned it up. AI helped me write the subject line, and it helped me write a couple of bullet points. And I sent it out to 600 people that were leads that we had captured and responses out the wazoo. But she asked me, like, how did you do this? Like, and how did you do it so quickly? That's how AI helped me.
So, boy, lots of questions, trying to figure out where the best place to start. Going back to and my software company, right? We have a CRM type software for manufacturers and wholesale distributors, which sell over and over to the same customers. So
Right.
we have built in a lot of AI that allows them to look at past purchases from customers and looking at the product categories or even the SKUs that customers are purchasing. What SKUs do tend to be purchased together? What categories are they missing? Is there a cross-sell or upsell opportunity, right, that maybe they didn't see in that organization? Is there different divisions or departments that they didn't even know existed? And it really opens up some of that white space, if you will. I assume even though you're not selling, I mean, you have a lot of SKUs, right? Microsoft certainly has a lot of SKUs. It's not maybe hundreds of thousands, but it could be thousands of SKUs that you're selling. Does it open up that door as well to you to say, hey, here's that upsell and cross-sell opportunity as well?
So, as you can imagine, and frankly, it's funny, this wasn't the case 10 years ago. I've been in the account team unit for most of my time at Microsoft. And, we went from managing a lot of things off Excel spreadsheets that we would hope would get updated on a daily basis to now real-time Power BI dashboards. But it will point you to the addressable market. There isn't cohesion across all the systems yet. Like, we have one system that will show you your marketing insights, and there's customers that might have downloaded a white paper, and then you've got others that will show, like you just described, Tom, digital signals that will say, hey, this person has this SKU, or we see usage of this, which tends to lead to purchase of this. And so it can be some of those signals. But frankly, it's very similar, Tom, to what we talk about on this show about when you set up your personalized sales navigator feed, what are the things that we react and respond to? Bob made a great comment. You're right, Bob. I mean, it's not entirely data driven. There is an art involved in all of this. And when you think about the art, like if I see on Sales Navigator, there's a net new chief marketing officer at XYZ company, I'm reaching out to that person immediately, and I'm going to earn my way in the room. What AI is helping me do is write the perfect message to that person, scan their LinkedIn profile, scan their company's profile, scan news alerts and things like that, and company reports in seconds flat. That's why it's making my message even better than ever before. So whereas I might have had a 50% chance before that I could get the customer to respond, now it goes up to 60%. Putting the odds in your favor is the key element. So yes, there are these signals that we can react and respond to. We have graphs that show like addressable market. Usually it's like a size of the organization and where there's penetration or lack thereof of some of our product areas. So that could show me, or it could show one of my sellers, hey, if we were able to land this SKU at this organization across their footprint, it's going to
Yep.
have a lot more impact than it would it's selling at a very small organization. So it really helps you plan out your year. But if you look at where's the most addressable market, where's the biggest opportunity, and then you look at, I've had customers in the past where we knew what their IT budget was, and we also knew we weren't getting the lion's share of that budget. So we knew that there was opportunity. And frankly, I tell customers all the time, like, hey, cloud's a commodity. You can buy it anywhere. I get that. Where I'm going to be able to be the differentiator for you is value added relationships that you're not going to be able to get anywhere else. And so where can I connect you with people in my organization? Where can I connect you with other industry leaders that I have the relationship with that your competitor does not, or that my competitor does not? And then how can I help you better serve the people that you serve? And I have found that to help me tremendously. But to your point, Tom, there are signals all over the place. AI can help you find more of these signals or help you write strategy or scripts or verbiage that can help you deliver. But see, this is where we have to be super, super careful because, again, while we need to embrace the blend, I believe strongly that the future belongs to those who are going to combine both AI efficiency with human authenticity. You've got to let the machine do some of the heavy lifting, but you've got
Yep.
to make sure that your voice stays personal, kind of like out on LinkedIn today. LinkedIn AI posts stick out like a sore thumb. You've got to make sure that your content, your voice is still authentic, and then you can still walk the talk when it comes to talking to customers. And then furthermore, being the final editor. AI can draft all this stuff. It can help make all these messages. It can point you to things better, help you glean insights, or help you devise a strategy. But you've got to be the one who injects empathy and insight and relevance into everything that you do and say that comes out of your mouth or comes off of your keystrokes.
Yeah, you have to be that oversight, right? That the QA to make sure that everything is, as you said, authentic, right? Because yes, the unauthentic, whatever the word is, it comes out loud
Inauthentic.
and clear when it wasn't there. Hey, your new year, right, starts what, in July 1st or
July
somewhere around
1.
there? Do you see an opportunity, and maybe you're already doing this, to use AI to help you with building your forecast for the next year? I look at a lot of companies that we work with. When they get ready to forecast for their new year, they're like, okay, well, we sold $100,000 of this. I think we can do 10% more. That's my forecast. There's absolutely no science. There's no analytics. There's no insights behind it. And yet I think that there's a lot of opportunity to build a much more intelligent forecast and a much more intelligent plan for your upcoming year that is actually achievable or even higher than that, because it's not just based on, well, we did this, we're going to add 10% to
Yeah.
the things there.
Like, oh my gosh, yes. Now, I know that I'm talking to people that, I mean, we may be tracking off of Excel spreadsheets or paper all the way to very robust dashboards, right? So,
Okay.
literally, whatever you have. And I mean, what's amazing about AI, you could take a picture of a piece of paper and
Mhm.
attach that into your prompt, and it can do the analysis and spit out what you ask for. But again, it's not the end all be all. AI makes mistakes. So I think the key element is whatever you have, whatever you're sitting on from a data perspective, historical data is good. What you produced this past year is good. What you're aspiring to get to is good. But what I think is good about AI is it can help extrapolate a lot of intel from a lot of different places that can really help you set your sights on what is an achievable or realistic or even attainable like goal to have around a percentage of growth year over year. And believe me, a lot of organizations, I think, frankly, I mean, it's some semblance of like throwing darts in the dark sometimes around figuring out where you're going. I mean, it's even challenging at my organization where you set very robust goals, but you don't anticipate. How could you? You can't see the future. There is no crystal ball to anticipate, financial or political things that may transpire that will drastically impact your year. And so you're going to go in with the best of intentions. But what I love about AI and being able to prompt AI to give you some of this food for thought is you can put whatever data you want into it. You can ask it for what you should be considering as you think about forecasting for the next year or setting goals for the next year. What is a reasonable rate of growth based on other organizations like mine, same size, same industry? Those types of things can inform your decision. But at the end of the day, the decision is still yours.
Well, and you hear so much now, right, about account-based marketing or using account-based strategies, right, where you have an exact account list that you're going after. You're not just spraying and praying to anybody in your area. To me, this opens up that door to that account-based approach to a whole nother level. And you can
Yeah.
build your forecast now around your top accounts, top 100, top 200, whatever the case may be, with a lot more relevance and a lot more credibility, frankly, as you pass it off the food chain. I wanted to hit Bob's comment here because I think it's related to this, right? What he's saying is that a lot of times as sellers, we think our addressable market is massive or supersized, but in reality, we are really only dealing with a niche or a small part of that small piece there. And that when we are not really focusing on that 2% or whatever the percent is of our market, do we run the risk of kind of alienating people in our message by spraying things out there and putting those in the thing there? Um, what would you? We'll cover that next. But um, what would you say to that? Is there an opportunity here to increase our addressable market with this, or is it also just the opportunity to be more refined in our core market and the niche that we're going after?
Yeah, no report is an end all be all. I absolutely leverage my addressable market reports to show me what the potential opportunity could be. But then I put it into practical terms in my head. And when I translate it to my team, it's, hey, this customer has more employees than anybody else. They have less penetration than anybody else. So it stands to reason that if we can engage at the right level, get the right executive relationships, and land the right messaging, it would have the most impact on our year. Those types of things are really important in Q1, Q2. Q3, Q4, it's more about what's viable. Let's lock it in. Let's nail it down. And Bob, you're dead on, man. Accounts don't sign contracts. People sign contracts. What are the relationships that I'm going to need in order to be successful? Yes, I can see the addressable market reports. It is not absolute, and it doesn't factor in a lot of different factors. I mean, sometimes I get addressable market reports and it shows really high because they have a lot of, frontline employees, but those needs might look different than some of the people in the corporate office or IT or HR or whatever the case may be. So there's a relative degree of salt that I've got to take in when I factor that into my strategy. But I think, Tom, to best answer your question, I look at the addressable market reports and I think about, we leverage solution plays in our organization. And what we have gotten good at is developing messaging stories around ways that we can leverage our technology or ways that existing customers are leveraging technology to achieve outcomes. Now, if I, as a seller, can go out and create the right relationship, land the right message, earn the conversation with an executive, I never mention a product. And see, that's one thing that sets me apart from a lot of other sellers, because a lot of sellers lead with product, lead with solution names, and that's why they get shut out. But really trying to hone in on what would be a win for this executive. That's how I earn the right to get that meeting. And once I earn my way in, I have a blueprint in my head of where I want to go. I want to get an executive briefing that I can earn. I want to show the art of the possible. And I know if I go down a roadmap and we start to uncover some of the things that would be meaningful, tangible wins, not only to that executive, but also to that organization, those are the types of things that take us to the next level. And furthermore, we've talked about this on this show, doing a SWOT analysis. we are not going to go toe to toe with our competition and win. Where we are going to go on based on their strengths. We're not going to do it. So don't try to pick off. Like, I don't go trying to figure out like where customers that have Salesforce and love it and try to beat Salesforce. It's more about how can I integrate or how can I augment what they're already doing and amplify the data, the outcomes, help their sellers be better, help their call centers be better. Those types of stories are going to be more enriching. But furthermore, I always think about the things that are very unique that both I can do or my organization can do that others cannot. And those are the types of things that I really try to expound upon. But again, to Bob's ultimate point, it's all about earning the relationships. The data and the AI can point me to where it would be the most impactful to earn those relationships. That if I win,
Right.
it will be the game-changing deal.
Right. And so when we were talking even about account-based marketing, obviously, as Bob's point, accounts don't sign contracts, but we may have accounts or customers that are higher value potential, higher probability. And then we have individuals within those that we want to be able to hone into, obviously, to build the relationships. You never build a relationship with an account. You only build a relationship with people in the account, right? But some accounts may be more richer or have more potential than others.
Yeah, and
So,
AI can help us find that. Like,
yeah, yeah.
what I love about it, Tom, honestly, is when when I'm thinking about, look at here's my customer list or here's my book of business, ChatGPT. Give me some insights. Are there like industry verticals within the verticals? Are
Mhm.
there new revenue lines I could create with these organizations that would be game changing for them? Like things that are outside the box. I have never gone down the beaten path, as you can probably imagine. And I've been wildly successful because I've not only committed to going down that non traditional path, but I've also been very transparent with my customers of where I can and cannot help them and being very unique in that approach, but like trying to find what's really going to be meaningful for this organization. It's not going to be me selling them more of a widget, but if I can help them open up a brand new line of commercialization, or if I can help them better serve and support the people that they serve because my company also has a relationship with that constituent, guess what? Suddenly I'm a lot more valuable. And we've got to be better at looking for those types of things. And AI can help us do that.
So, hey, you remember it's been a while now, but when we had Matt Dixon on, we talked about fear of messing up, right? And we talked about, and this is what he talks about in his book, right? Is that customers or prospects are more concerned about messing up and making the wrong decision or a decision that is, could get them fired, right? Or removed than actually fear of missing out and making a decision and taking advantage of the opportunity, right? They're more afraid of that. I think that probably is maybe even more the case than it was even a year ago when we had the conversation with them. And it's not even just fear of messing up, like, hey, the implementation doesn't work, but it's also, did I pick the right vendor? Did I pick the right product? Is this product going to be obsolete in 6 months or 3 months with the speed of everything that's changing there? How can we use AI to, you even mentioned ghosting, right? Getting ghosted and things like that. How can we use AI more to help the customer feel, right? Hence the jolt effect, right? That we talked about, more comfortable and reduce some of that fear of messing up. And at the same time, if they are feeling uncomfortable, that they're not ghosting, but they're actually communicating, go, hey, I'm feeling a little uncomfortable about this. Have you used it for that perspective?
Yeah.
And yeah. So what's your take there?
I mean, literally, Tom, what you just said are some of the golden words that I would be tasking my AI with doing. I mean, you can literally take the email and, again, I have internal Microsoft Copilot, so I could copy paste the email because it's got PII and I just want it stored in my own tenant and for my own utilization and no one else's. And I could take that entire email thread, I could paste it into my Copilot, and I could say, this customer has not responded to me for 2 weeks or 2 email attempts. Please write an email in my voice and style and tone as Carson Heady that has a maximized rate of open rate and also has a maximized response rate that aims to de-risk the customer's decision to move forward. I anticipate that they fear moving forward because they don't want to make the wrong decision. And my goal is to just have a conversation. And frankly, Tom, like blending in the human element, I think is super, super important as well. Because here's the thing: what AI does, thinking about all that and think about all the steps that we might have taken in the past. Like I might have bounced some ideas off my manager and been like, man, this customer won't respond to me. Then I might have written this really long email, or I would have really hammered on fear of missing out, on creating FOMO.
Right.
Um, Speed wins deals. And the seller who reaches the prospect with the right message at the right time, but also is a human being and can call out the risk, and also like underscore the value that's been brought to the conversation, but like have an insight led conversation where I'm able to say, hey, I anticipate that you're thinking about like the risk here, and I want to make sure that you see us as a partner for the change management, that we're in lockstep. You've articulated to me some of these priorities and milestones that matter to you, and that's how we've built the blueprint. So I have a concern that we might miss some of these important milestones that we've agreed on, but I also want to make sure we're in lockstep on moving forward. I mean, AI can help me create the kind of message that I want. And I mean, I'm using it for so many things, like feeding it the general sentiment that I want to be able to articulate in even having a tough conversation with somebody. And it can give me a cut and dry way of putting it in a very respectful and professional way. So Tom, the things that we know about our customers, and I quote Jolt Effect all the time. I've recommended it to so many people because it really reframed the way I thought about a lot of customer conversations where I don't need or want to like really lean in on that fear of missing out. I want to really understand what they deem is the risk. I want to make sure I share risk where I can, and I want to make sure I de-risk where I can. And so AI can help us write that short, sweet, concise, succinct message, and it can even call out like, "Hey, you haven't responded to the last couple of messages. I'd love to know if it's you sense some kind of risk that we haven't broached. How can I serve you in this moment? How can I help you sell this internally if that's what we need to do?" Like being able to anticipate some of these things that maybe we don't see. AI can help us shore up some of our blind spots that we come in with inherently.
Yeah, I've used AI for asking, kind of having it coach me, if you will.
Yeah.
Like, hey, get in the mind of the customer, right? Because it's so easy for us to stay in the mind of our perspective. Well, God, look at the opportunity they have here. Look how much and I would ask AI is like, what risks do you think are going through the head of my customer that would potentially slow this down? What are they thinking? What are they looking at? And it comes back with things that may be obvious, but then it might come back with some things that you hadn't thought about. And then when you do communicate back in that email, even sometimes I found that if the prospect, if they see that you have empathy, that you understand what they're going through, you'll actually get a conversation back because they don't feel like you're pushing something on them. They actually feel like, oh wow, maybe he understands, or she or she understands what I'm dealing with, and maybe I should continue the conversation, right?
Well, I mean, let's be real, Tom. ChatGPT is a better sales manager than some of the sales managers I've had in my career. You
Yeah,
know,
I heard, and that's not to. I heard, is it Sergey, the founder of Google, or one of the co-founders of Google? I heard him on a podcast. He said the I AI is a better manager than I will ever be in terms of how I actually go about and communicate with people and tell them what to do and all that kind of stuff, which I found really interesting. I really hadn't thought about it from that perspective.
well, and Bob, again, you asked a very intriguing question, and I go back to some of our prior conversations too, where I know Bob has talked about the alligator skin that we develop as sellers, having been in the trenches and gone through some of these experiences. When a seller asks AI to do some of these things, are they really learning? Are they becoming a better seller, or are they just skipping steps? We have to be careful with that. We have to be careful with that as sales leaders who are trying to create a sales culture. Um, I'm very cognizant that the biggest value that I often bring my team is whether I won or lost the deal or whatever happened with the situation, I'm able to coach and guide my team because I've seen almost everything that they encounter before. I've been there before, so I can come in and help them see around corners better as a result of my experiences. But in this new reality, people's experiences are going to be different. And again, we have to find the right balance of the efficiency that we can get from AI arming us with data. I mean, my gosh, I came up in a time where to write essays in school, I had to go to the library and look at microfilm, right? If I told my teenager that, she wouldn't know what the heck I was talking about, right? Um, we're in an era, we're in a world where I don't know what jobs are going to exist when my kids go away to school. They're going to be very different. I don't know what the sales role is going to look like in the future. I think a lot of these early stage pipeline generating conversations or the reactive responsive like seller answering the phone, I've seen what AI agents can do, and even answering the phone and talking to customers and generating pipeline, making outbound phone calls, touching customers in ways that a lot of SDRs were doing before. I've seen that. But I will tell you that as a sales leader, I don't feel any insecurity at all in what's transpiring because I know the value that my experience has. So I encourage sellers and sales leaders to do the work, have AI be a coach, be a guide, but it ain't the end all be all. It's not a silver bullet. It can't write you an email that is perfect for customers. And guess what? Sometimes the AI goes down. Like, have you ever gone out there to the page and it didn't work? You know, gun to your head, are you able to deliver and execute? So you got to be prepared. Use it as a guide, not a crutch. And I do think that the more that we can help our sellers and the next generation of sales professionals actually go out and do the work, they're going to earn their stripes and they're going to be a heck of a lot more valuable in the workplace going forward. If not, we're doing them a serious disservice.
Hey, what tool, when you use Copilot, are you using the one that's in Teams? Or I know there's like a Copilot now in Teams. There's one I think now in Outlook that you can use. Is that the ones you're using for the internal stuff, or is there
Yeah, I
a?
mean, I think it's like 86 of them now, right? I mean, they're
Yeah,
in
yeah,
literally every area of our platform,
yeah,
whether it's like PowerPoint, Word, Excel.
yeah, yeah,
I'm using them all. The one I use predominantly, I mean, again, is probably when I go into like my Bing search. There's a free engine, and then there's also the one that I leverage inside of my Teams, because my one in Teams will have access to everything in my CRM, everything in my LinkedIn, everything in my Outlook. And it can pull from transcripts, it can pull from documents, pull from intranet, which is what's super powerful, right? Because if I'm needing to craft and concoct something that professionally and holistically articulates the value proposition of my team, my organization, my bag of tricks, that's going to be able to do it very effectively. And sometimes, honestly, Tom, I'll use both. I'll use the best of both worlds to craft my final destination. And it's like, honestly, it's one of those things like you put a few different heads together, you get a better output. So my
yeah.
head plus a couple of different AI engines, I can come up with something better than what I would have created by myself, and I can do it quicker.
Yep, totally. So, how are you, as you're coaching people on this and talking people, how are you finding that people are reacting? Are they scared? Are they embracing it? What are the yeah buts, or what are you seeing?
I don't know that I see a lot of scared. I mean, I do see like people's trepidation on like, wow, how much AI is able to do, how fast it's been able to do some of the things that it does. I mean, I was in Chicago at a conference a few weeks ago and, watching a CVP of our AI apps present to some of our biggest customers in the world. And I was asked to come in and present to these folks because of my kind of my role in the sales community, not because of my role today at Microsoft, because I work with not the nonprofit team, but I was flown in by the commercial team, and being able to see like the stuff is here, it's happening very quickly. I think when I talk to sellers, both in my company and outside of my company, it's like, wow, this stuff has been able to do this very quickly. Wow, it's amazing what it's able to do and what it's able to touch at scale, like how many cold calls it can make I mean, I used to run a call center where I'd have 200 people smiling and dialing, pounding the phones. And I mean, they might have dialed 100 people a day per person. And AI can do that in seconds, right? I mean, it's mind blowing what it can do. And frankly, for some of the functionality or functions, especially if you're not touching a customer at all today, like if it's a SMB prospect or it's unmanaged or it's somebody who left us or we're trying to win back and we're just trying to get a conversation. I mean, it could absolutely generate a signal quicker than any person could ever do. And so I think that's where a lot of us are scratching our head like of, hey, what's possible? How are AI agents going to be impacting and influencing our business in the coming year? What functions will it take away? Some of that I welcome, and some of that I think sellers welcome. I mean, if it can automate my pipeline hygiene, which was one of my Achilles heels when I was a seller, because I was back to back hitting meetings. I'd drive up north in the morning and I would like drive south throughout the day and hit 10 customers, right? So I didn't have a lot of time for some of the pipeline CRM maintenance to automate some of that stuff, to glean insights from transcripts, to use transcripts today to write my follow-up emails to my customers better than I ever would have been able to do before. That excites me, and I think that excites sellers. So I think it's kind of like a wary, hey, what's possible? This is coming fast, but I'm excited to see if it can do this. That's what I'm seeing mostly, Tom.
Yeah, I would say that in the people that we work with, the good sellers are loving it because it's taking them and making, the good to great. The sellers that maybe aren't so great are nervous about it, but they should be nervous anyway. So it's like, to me, it's an opportunity, right, for even some of the maybe an average seller to become way above average by embracing those things that are there along the way. So I guess as we kind of wind down today, what would you then say if someone had not done anything with AI, right? They're new or whatever. What would you kind of lay out as the roadmap on how to get started and kind of the priorities of those, to kind of start moving from that, hey, I've used ChatGPT at home to build recipes or whatever, but how do I actually now incorporate this into my business world?
Yeah, I mean, my favorite AI use case is writing bedtime stories for my 8-year-old daughter, that incorporate her and her friends and famous characters from movies. No, I think first off, again, it's think outside of the hype. I always like to like zoom out and take a balcony view of everything. You've got to look at your sales process, right? And again, dissecting where maybe you struggle. If you're not getting responses to your emails, like, the prompts that will help you get better responses to your emails are where you want to focus. Like, it's not AI, help me write an email to a prospect to, about XYZ and how great my product is, because that's going to be noise. It's going to be just like anybody else. And frankly, just like whatever's easiest is usually what everybody gravitates toward. That's also the thing that you should shy away from as much as possible. Yesterday, I did a show with Mark Hunter and Meredith Powell, and we were talking about this too. And I said, my favorite episode ever of Seinfeld is the opposite, where George Costanza consciously decides to do the opposite of every inclination he ever gets. And I think to some degree in sales and with AI in sales, we've got to do that. We've got to do the opposite of maybe the easy. We've got to think about, okay, at what stage of my sales process am I struggling? If I can't get a meeting or I can't get somebody to respond to my email, let's hone in on that part of the process. Help me write an email subject line that will maximize open rate and tinker with that a little bit.
But I mean, that's great. I mean, right there, Carson, that's the easiest. You don't even have them write the email. Just give me a subject line and see if that improves what we're doing.
Bingo. What I've also realized, Tom, is like customers, because they get so much noise, they have a short attention span for sellers and for the kind of crap and drivel that we send. So you got to be really mindful of that. I will ask my AI engines, write me a 2-sentence email that it gives a compelling reason for this specific person with LinkedIn profile at this particular company with URL to take a meeting with me that's aligned to their mission, or something that they care about as a cause on their LinkedIn profile, in my voice and style and tone, and maybe put a couple bullet points as far as why my company is uniquely positioned for driving that outcome. You want to say something that they've never heard before. And that's really hard if you sound like everybody else, or if you're asking AI what everybody else is asking AI to do. So go into the opposite and really drill into where you're conceivably struggling. The other thing that I would say too, like if you start anywhere, just having it help you research. I have a meeting with the CEO of XYZ company. Give me everything I should be thinking about. I work for this company. Throw in your web address if it's not a publicly known organization. Throw in whatever you feel like, the kitchen sink. And again, you're going to refine what the output is. It's going to arm you with things that you can be thinking about. And what I think is amazing is that, again, I can think by myself of 2 or 3 really great things. I kid you not. Last year, I went to my team and I basically said, like, look, give me your can't crack accounts. We are going to get in. They gave me 150 accounts. I opened up over 100 of them. And I did it doing exactly what I've just articulated, using AI to help me write the subject line, write the email, keep it brief, a couple of unique bullet point differentiators, and I spread it out to the masses. I mean, I was sending it to 50, 60, 80, 100 director and above in every organization that I tried to open. I only needed one response. That's the beauty of it. Probability, right? But I get that response, and I would jump on the meeting and I would say, give me things that I should be talking about to this customer. I had one that was telling me, like, hey, we were looking at doing this with you guys, but we ended up, we're going to go in another direction with a competitor because you guys couldn't give us investment in this one specific area. And I was like, well, who did you talk to? And they were talking to somebody in a totally different business unit. That's why they couldn't give them the funding dollars. So I'm like, I can handle this. And I took this research paper that they had written. I pumped it into my Copilot and said, give me like 5 talking points that'll make me sound brilliant. I mean, these are high level, like we're talking like healthcare things that I had no idea what I was talking about. And I was like, give me like 5 talking points that would articulate why this customer should work with me and with my organization on this. And I kid you not, it was the 5th bullet point that I rattled off. And I mean, I'm reading this stuff on the side and I'm like infusing it into my conversation. It was the 5th bullet point. I never would have thought of it, but you start to get the team's head nod. And I'm like, wow, I'm resonating with this person who is senior, way senior title, very specific niche healthcare need. I'm talking about research things that we could do together. And he's buying what I'm selling. And I'm saying, hey, I know an exact thing that we need to do. We need to get you into this specific program. We come out of it going straight to pilot. He was all in. Within 2 weeks, we were into this thing. And within 6 weeks, we were live. And they were going to go with the competitor. If I hadn't met them at the exact right time with the exact right message that was helped by AI, I would have never had that conversation. And what it's helping me do, Tom, it's helping me write the perfect message at scale to thousands upon thousands of people per week and open up doors that nobody's ever opened in 8 years that this organization that I work in has been open. It's game changing, and it's making literally a nobody who used to sell high speed internet and long distance plans and advertising packages for the yellow pages, the number one social seller in all of technology.
Mic drop. Hey, have you used, speaking of research, have you used some of the deep research capabilities and the reasoning? I mean, if you really want to do a deep dive on a company and you can prompt it a little bit, or kind of take it through the process, some of the stuff that deep research can come back with, you would never find on your own through Google searches and searching around LinkedIn. And even if you found it, you wouldn't even know what you were looking at. The fact that it can piece it all together can really, and I did that with a customer, with a prospect, and I was going over stuff and they were like, more about our business than we do. Right. Because they hadn't gone through the whole thing there.
Tom, I heard somebody I heard somebody, an executive say, I want to say within the last couple of weeks, like the AI that you see today is the worst AI you'll ever see as long as you live. I mean, it's going to be better and better. I mean, you see it now. I mean, even just the engines that we've been using, from the quality of graphics that they create. And I mean, like, look, again, I used to create these robust newsletters and I used to create these robust webinars. And I mean, I would take an hour or more to write these things, curate these things. I can use AI and do it in literal minutes, creating the graphics, linking, creating a 2 sentence synopsis of each linked event that I put in the newsletter. I can put video content in it, take the transcript from that video content, write a 2 sentence synopsis. Like the ability that it brings you. I mean, I'm a one man wrecking crew when it comes to sales and marketing, and we're just on the precipice. So I think the key element is keep trust and transparency and consistency at the heart of everything that we do. Stay human. Know that AI is this amazing engine, but you've got to be the driver of meaningful relationships. Keep learning, keep evolving, keep thinking about new and unique ways that you're evolving. And like be a part of the community. Like I like to solicit my broader team. I've got like 80 people that touch my customer base, and I have an open chat. And I'm like, share your favorite AI prompt that you use
Yep.
this week.
Yep.
Like keep learning, incorporating this stuff into your arsenal. Because remember, speed wins deals. And I mean, this stuff is almost, I literally, I look every day at like, how can this help me at any stage of the sales process that I'm in or I'm stuck? It's like it's like a super sales manager that I can bounce ideas off of at the end of the day. And it also makes my emails sound a lot smarter. And don't tell anybody, but like, I kid you not, I was needing to write this super empathetic, like text response to my wife one day, and I was struggling with it. AI helped me, and it was the right response. Let's just put it that way.
I won't say anything, I promise.
Thank you.
You know, what I really wanted to hammer home is something you mentioned earlier. When everybody, if they look at their sales process, has frustration points, right? Areas where they get frustrated, whether it's prospecting, getting new leads, whether it's getting leads to, like I'm just thinking one of the biggest challenges we have, I think, in our sales process is we get people to demos. They're all excited in the demonstration process, and then all of a sudden they go dark for a period of time, for a long period of time, right? So there's this chasm between demo and follow up to actually go into okay, what can we do then how can we get AI to help us alleviate or help us cross that chasm more effectively, right? And all these frustration points of our sales. I mean, go to any sales meeting or your meetings or your team meetings, you can identify where the frustrations are. And that's the place to start, right? Look at how you can interject those in as you work through those frustration points. And what's interesting about it is you're not just doing things that are manipulating the prospect or the customer. You're actually adding value to the customer, which is opening up the door for the conversation. So it's not like you're doing something to figure out how to manipulate them or coerce them into something. You're just giving them value for whatever reason you didn't know or have the wherewithal to do before.
Exactly.
So
They're doing the same stuff, Tom. And you know what's beautiful about this is, I mean, I was literally talking to an executive last week. I was taking notes on some of the things that were high priority for them, big challenges that they were having, and also things that they saw that they might be interested in doing with us over the next 5 years, right? And I'm in real time writing this, feeding it into my Copilot, and just asking it to task me with some like next logical steps. And again, these are things that I can think okay on the fly. I've been doing this 25 years. I'm a pretty good conversationalist, but to even just have that written out, and I was able to take these bullet points that I was being provided by Copilot, put it in the chat that we were having, and then say, "Hey, I'm doing some thinking, and these are some things that I think would be next logical, actionable steps. Would you agree?" And I was able to get them to agree to that in real time. Speed wins deals.
yep,
Think about before, if I had a great meeting 5 years ago in person with a customer, I might have to schedule something for them to meet one of my partners or my collaborators in 2 weeks. Then that gets rescheduled for some reason. I can do so much now in real time
yep,
because of AI and technology.
yep. So one final question. In a year, What do you think is going to be the biggest impact that AI is having on sales that it's not right now?
What is the biggest problem in sales, Tom? Um, I think that the biggest challenge that we have in sales is meaningfully connecting with the right buyers at the right time with the right message. And so I believe strongly that AI will be addressing that exponentially better than it is today, whether it's enhancing the signals that we're getting and the learning that we're getting. I mean, imagine I go into my LinkedIn profile as an example, or my sales navigator, and I immediately get things forced to me of like, hey, this thing happened or that thing happened. That's already happening to a
Sure.
degree,
That's a
but
form
to
of the
be able
signal.
to do
Yeah.
it to a next level, like,
Yeah.
hey, this executive is talking about AI. You need to reach out to him right now. I think that's where we're going.
I agree. I think there'll be way more capability for proactivity versus reactivity. And I think sales to a large degree can be very reactive right now, and you react late, right? And you're now in a situation, I think the opportunity to really have a lot more proactivity and even having conversations well before they're in market, well before that they're in the place of actually making that buying decision. I think that's going to open up the door of the sales role to be what even more consultative than it's ever been.
Tom, we are entering the matrix of sales, and I plan to be Neo. Who's
Okay.
coming with me?
All right. Hey, I wanted to thank Paul for the kind comment. He said this is one of the best webinars he's been on in a long time.
Thank you, Paul.
So thank you. Hopefully everybody got a lot of practical advice out of this. And I think we talked about mastering modern selling in an AI world.
Yeah, we did, Tom. We delivered.
All right. Well, thanks, Carson. Thanks, everybody who jumped in on the comment. Bob, as always, happy birthday to Brandon. I hope he's having a good time. And until next time, that's right. Until next time, Carson.
Tom, thank you. Thanks for all our commenters and everybody checking us out today. Until next time, happy modern selling.
Have a good week, everyone.